Hello, good morning. It's Tuesday the 22nd. I'm FX Plue and this is the market brief. So we have Sunak's spring statement due tomorrow. He's facing 11th hour pressure to do more to help with all these increases to the cost of living. Yesterday it was rumoured that he's considering a cut of 5p per litre of fuel. Currently the duty makes up about 58p of the 165 you pay at the pump, so it would barely scratch the surface and would really only take prices back to where they were at the middle of last week, right? So not to be overly sensationalist, but is it too early to call hyperinflation at the pumps? Keep an eye on those prices. But since all his good work when the COVID lockdowns took place, Sunak has rather created a name for himself as the last resort when we all need a bailout. And this puts him in a bit of a quandary. He certainly doesn't want everyone crying off to the government for support whenever there is a downturn in the economy. COVID was extraordinary, certainly not business as usual. And the inflation we're facing right now, although rather extreme and very unwelcome, it's all part of the natural economic cycle. Indeed, Sunak is part of the problem too. He's fanning the flames with his plans to take more from the average household budget with the 1.25% increase to national insurance. And he'll be adding anything between £300 and £750 on the additional fuel bills when those price caps are increased. The difference between £300 and £750 depends on whether you believe government data or independent studies. Depends what's more your bag, right? In the market, sterling started the week on the back foot against the dollar. We fell to 131.25, and it led to suggestions that we may test support around the 130 mark soon enough. And we opened this morning around 119.50 against the euro. Over in the US, data showed that the economy had begun to slow even before the Fed delivered their first rate hike. However, Powell was on yesterday, warning for the need for hikes to be accelerated in order to control rising prices. He fears that inflation is still far too high. The Department of Labour confirmed that the unemployment rate that fell to 3.8%. And while a tighter labour market may drive wage price inflation higher, the Fed is still hopeful that inflation does not spill over from the supply side of the economy. Fed member Bostic has been on, and he's rather stuck on the idea of inflation around 4% by year end. Get it? Bostic? Stuck on because of the glue? I'll get my coat. Anyway, this Bostic chap, he believes that the Fed should just crack on with their plans to shrink the balance sheet regardless of the war in Ukraine. That is contrary to many conservatives in the Fed who fear that ploughing ahead regardless, well, could get them in a sticky situation. All right, enough with the glue gags already. In the markets, the dollar index rose to a high of about 98.80. We can probably expect a test to resistance around 99.25 in the next few days, as Fed officials seem to be talking up the need for tougher action to curb inflation. Keep an eye on that one. Euro dollar dropped down to 109.65 yesterday, and that's where we opened this morning. Right, no more gags, I promise you. Join me again tomorrow.
If you do not have a clue, then just tweet through and ask FX Blue.